I'm about to show you how you can do 2.8 months of work within the next 3.3 hours. Let me show you the math exactly. Here you have 12 weeks, so 2.8 months. Down here you have 50-minute blocks times 4, which couldn't be done in a single morning. So if you want to compress time, this is what I want you to do. I want you to ignore all the distractions. I want you to open this video, full screen it, and watch all the way to the end. The first thing you want to ensure that you do is you want to ensure that your environment is as optimal as possible. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years. All the entrepreneurs that I've seen that perform at the top, at the pinnacle of society in terms of work output, aren't necessarily hard-working people. It's not who they are on the inside, it's how they choose to curate the environment around them that allows for them to output so optimally. And that's why they're able to get these heaps of work in a fraction of the time imaginable. The first thing that I've seen all of them do is they have to eliminate everything that can count as a distraction. And by the way, the distraction can be YouTube, it can be Instagram, it can be TikTok, but it can also be the work that you're working on, the quote unquote thing that you're doing that isn't the most important thing. If you're working on a website or if you're building a software that you can just purchase, then that by itself might look like work from the outside. It might seem like work to you, but in reality, it's a distraction. And the way that you actually fix this issue is you want to ensure that the path of least resistance is working on the main thing. See, the reason why you take that work, the reason why you like doing it, the reason why you get distracted with YouTube, with Slack, with Instagram, whatever it is because it's the path of least resistance. If you put 12 different steps in between you being able to get distracted, you wouldn't get distracted. So here's an action step. What you can do is you can download ClearSpace on your phone. You can download ClearSpace as an extension. There's a huge amount of these extensions that you can essentially install to make sure that your digital environment is curated optimally. Make sure that your notifications are off, preferably all the time. Doesn't matter if you're working and not working, it's just they should be off all the time. Again, this process of elimination is literally the most important part of the whole system. By the way, sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a few days for you to actually figure out what to fix here and here and here. But once you have it done, what you want to move on to is actually breaking down the task at hand that you have to execute on. So again, let me tell you what happens. This is what happens with me. This is what happens with every single entrepreneur that I've worked with. When you have nothing to distract you, you essentially resort to doing nothing. If, and there's a big if here, if you don't have your task broken down into micro steps, because then you essentially don't really know what to do. But if you know exactly what to do and you have nothing else to do, then the path of least resistance becomes the work that needs to be done. Otherwise, the path of least resistance becomes doing nothing. So this is exactly what you want to do, okay? Every single night, you want to record a video. And essentially what you do is you just sit there and you decide the 3 things that you're going to do tomorrow, the 3 hits, the highest impact tasks. And for every single thing you choose, it has to do one of 3 things. Either has to get you more customers, make them worth more, or increase the enterprise value of the business. If it doesn't do those 3 things, and by the way, for most of you guys, just because of statistics, the problem with most businesses is just a constraint on advertising. You guys aren't telling enough people about your stuff. And you might say, oh, but I want to work on making my service better. But the thing is, it's a literal act of narcissism for you to think that you know what your service being better looks like. When you have customers, they will tell you what you need to change, and then you can change it. But it all starts with getting customers. So again, it has to be advertising related. All the things that you do throughout the day have to be related to advertising, unless you're doing $1 million a month. Then it's okay. You can move on to keeping your customers and all that other stuff. You can use Loom, you can use Record, which is a cheaper Loom alternative. I'm putting you guys on. Download Record. And just now, I'm about to show you how easy it is to actually use Record. See, once you download Record right here, all you need to do is open it, and you can set a shortcut to open it so it automatically starts recording once you're done. And basically you start recording, and once I'm done with these 3 hits, I just press finish recording, and look, it uploads it automatically and it opens it. The best thing about Neato, it generates a description. You can watch it back so easily. You can increase the playback speed, so on and so forth. But check this out: planning and executing advertising tasks. And down here, it even gives you a summary on exactly what you decided to do. I send this in, and if you're in Slack, if you're on Discord, whatever it is, it embeds it automatically. So again, it's that easy to use. That's why I recommend it so heavily because it's just immaculate value. And again, what you want to do is with every single one of these tasks, you want to break it down so that you know exactly what it is that you need to do. That way, the work is the path of least resistance. It is the easiest thing to do because not only do you have nothing else to do, it's literally broken down into micro steps. And the third thing, now we're getting into the juice, okay, is the actual block of time itself. Now again, when everything is removed, when everything is broken down, anything less than 4 hours isn't enough to fulfill the quota of advertising, management, or whatever it is that an entrepreneur does. And again, so there's this 4-hour morning, you want to break every single one of these time blocks down into an hour. The most efficient time block that we've tried and tested with every single entrepreneur that you can imagine is the cab. The cab, if you want to look at the micro thing that changed my life as an entrepreneur, that turned me from an unfocused loser who failed all his classes in high school, who didn't get into any colleges, to an execution machine that literally works for, at this point, 11, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And by the way, that's because I want to. The thing that took me from this to this is literally the cab. And the cab is a very special type of time block. Cab essentially follows a 5-55 framework. So again, you have 5 minutes. These first 5 minutes, what you want to do is remember the hit video that you recorded. You want to go there, you want to pick one of the things that you were going to work on and you want to decide on, okay? And by the way, this is a video. It should be a 20-second video. You commit to that task and then you start a 50-minute timer. Then for the rest of the 50 minutes, you just do the work. And in these 50 minutes, there's literally nothing else that can come in between you and the work because we eliminated all the distractions. Once your time is up, you record another video at the end of the 5 minutes going over what you did. And again, if you were actually aligned with the hits that you decided to do. Now, let me preface this with something. It's a very simple system. It's not rocket science at all. But what makes it work is accountability. And if you look at all the top entrepreneurs that work the most, that make the most amount of money, they understand the power of accountability. So again, if you don't have accountability, you just won't stick to shit. And even for me, I created all these systems and obviously we refined them over time as we worked with more entrepreneurs. But every single day, I have somebody watching all the videos that I upload. An accountability coach that doesn't tell me how to run my business. He doesn't tell me, oh, run after this shiny object or do this new thing for your business. He just makes sure that I am executing on the one thing that matters most for my business. And I'm telling you, that's more valuable than any course, any sort of coaching, and any sort of mastermind. By the way, if you're interested in that, we're hosting a free 6-week focus challenge for entrepreneurs where we'll give you the accountability. And over the next 42 days, I promise you, you'll be able to get more done than you had throughout the entire life of your business. We're trying to compress time for business owners because there's real live accountability, actual coaches that we dedicate to every single entrepreneur. We cannot work with everybody. That's just a constraint that we haven't handled yet. So there are limited spots available. The next batch is probably going to be starting within the next 2 to 3 days. What I've done is I've left a link down in the description so you can go and reserve your spot. We'll send you an itinerary. We'll tell you exactly what happens. And by the way, if you're going to be part of the next 10 people that sign up for the next batch of the challenge, we'll give you a dedicated coach that'll be available to you 24/7 to ensure that you receive live accountability and to make sure that you are always working on the constraint of the business. You'll be receiving weekly calls with me. I'll be conducting a call with you every week to ensure that you're prioritizing, eliminating, and executing efficiently. And we'll also be giving you EOD reviews with your coach to make sure that every single day that you've worked aligns with your greater vision. And by the way, these are the intricate systems that usually we only have reserved for our VIP members, but we're giving them all to you for free. Again, the link will be down in the description. Now we've talked about the micro, I want to make one more main point. And to preface this, the micro and the macro are both very intricate systems that need to align with one another in order for this system to actually work correctly. So what you want to do to align the micro and the macro is you want to ensure that you're sticking to one business the whole time. And again, I've worked with entrepreneurs that have 3, 4, 5 businesses at the same time. Principally, when it comes to focus, it just does not work when you're diversifying your attention between all these different entities. You want to pick one main entity to actually put all your eggs into so that it can scale and grow. Second main thing is you want to focus on advertising, scaling the same client acquisition system. So again, we're talking about businesses, not switching businesses. It also applies to client acquisition systems. So for example, if you're cold emailing or cold calling or trying to run paid ads or trying to post organic content, even the type of organic content that you're trying to post, whether it's long form content or short form content, you want to ensure that the type of content that you're posting or the type of acquisition system that you're running stays consistent on a long enough time frame. And the reason why is because when we're talking about business, anything and everything takes a lot of time to actually compound and grow. A lot of entrepreneurs enter this state of informed optimism. They think anything's going to work. And then as soon as they see that anything and everything, no matter what client acquisition system you're actually facing, requires a lot of grit, a lot of work, a lot of iteration, a lot of failure, then they fall into this fallacy where they think that the other thing will be easier, when the other thing is just easier because they don't know enough about it. So then they switch, and then they switch again, and then they switch again, and then they're never able to grow. And entrepreneurs at literally every single level face this problem. You want to ensure again that the micro and the macro are aligned, and you're sticking to shit not only on the micro but also on the macro. You're not switching your businesses, you're not switching the offers that you're running, you're not switching the core models, the core economics of the business. If you do that, if you're focused on the macro and you're focused on the micro, these are the only two things that you essentially need to actually scale your business and compress time down. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, I'm telling you, this video right here, you will absolutely love. Go ahead and click on this video, watch it all the way to the end. And don't forget to reserve your spot for the free 6-week focus challenge down below.